Welcome to the Performance Enhancing Podcast. It's like steroids for your brain. A podcast for people looking to live life at their peak potential, chock full of real-world tools and knowledge that you can apply in your life today. By providing you with a lens into the lives, beliefs, practices, and actions of those who are already living extraordinary lives, the Performance Enhancing Podcast will help you shift your mindset or create that change in your daily rituals and habits so you can explode with success in the areas of life that are most important to you. So get ready for another dose of Performance Enhancing Podcast with SatoriPrime. Here's your host, Ilan Ferdman.
Hello, and welcome back to another Performance Enhancing Podcast with your host, Ilan Ferdman. So last podcast, we left on quite a bit of a cliffhanger where Shannon was about to share with us what is the most powerful marketing strategy on earth. So that's exactly where we are jumping in today. After we take that on, we're going to talk about how to stop hiding behind your computers and how the world is just dying for connection, and how internet marketers tend to get stuck in this automation, systemization, hiding behind computers. So hopefully we're going to put a stop to that. Little story from me about the power of letting go. And then we're going to also talk about creating more 4-minute miles in the world, and then how to change your life in an instant. So without further ado, here's part 2 of my interview with Shannon Graham. Enjoy.
What is the most powerful time-tested marketing strategy in the world?
I'd probably say people sharing their experience, word of mouth. Referral.
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
100% correct. People sharing their experience, word of mouth.
Yeah.
You are 100% correct. That is, and for those of you who are listening, that is by far the number one best marketing strategy ever created ever. Now, let's play a different game, different context. What is the most underutilized marketing strategy in the world?
Probably the same thing.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It is the best way to market anything, and yet it is the most underutilized. It fascinates me. It blows me away.
Well, I'll say this. It is, from a scalability perspective, it's not the best. It's the highest converting, right? So if one of your clients recommends you to one of his buddies, chances are that his buddy is in and around the same person that you're looking for. Just like when a client comes to us for Facebook, chances are Frank Kern recommends someone to us. It's a 85, 90% chance that they're going to start working with us, strictly based on that recommendation.
Right.
Having said that, though, it's not my issue with it is it's not a reliable source of revenue. I can't build my business model to say I'm going to get 5 referrals this month or whatever. And then you're kind of just playing this waiting game. You can talk to people to ask them and do all this stuff, but it's not trackable. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure. And the good news about that is there are things you can do to improve that.
Okay.
So, for example, my grandfather owned a Ford dealership back in the day, and he didn't spend a dime on advertising.
Wow.
Word of mouth was his primary and only source of new leads. But he treated, so basically here's the thing. It's like, how do you take something that is more nebulous and you make it trackable? It's a tough question to ask. It's a tough question to answer, but it's worthwhile. If you can put the time into figuring out even the beginnings of the answer to that, then you're onto something. But I don't disagree with you. There are certainly other ways that you can get the word out. However, I recommend that one be the majority of your focus of how can I optimize this? How can I make it so it's more reliable? How can I make it so it's more predictable? Because it is possible.
That I agree with.
So that's the game first and foremost. But the second part to the answer is technology. The challenge is most people use technology as the vehicle to bring their gift to the world rather than the bridge.
Amen, brother.
So like as I always say, thank God that Jesus didn't write an ebook on how to be compassionate. He just showed up.
Right? I love that.
But why? I mean, it's funny and we can laugh about it, but let's really think about it. Like if he just wrote a book about miracles rather than actually performing them, it wouldn't work the same. So people have thought that technology is a great way to bring their miracle to the world, but you can't dilute the miracle and still have it be the same level of effectiveness.
Yeah.
Now, this is only true for my world, by the way. If you're selling products and other things like that, absolutely, all day long, do it.
Yeah.
But so this is just specifically to my world. However, when you use technology as a bridge to connect you with people that you wouldn't have the opportunity to get connected to so that they can get in your atmosphere, boom, it's a game changer.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the problem when technology came out, people were making money by putting shit out there, hiding behind their computer screens, never had to communicate, never had to do. I think, and I shared this with you in San Diego, buyers are getting smarter.
Right.
Buyers are actually sick and tired of the bullshit. They're sick and tired of these people that hide, etc. What I've been trying to explain to people is exactly like you said, use technology to build a stage. Use technology to get in front of people outside of your 15-mile radius.
Right.
Connect, and then bring those people in. Get those people into your circle. Connect live. At the end of the day, people want to shake your hand. People want to see your eyes.
That's right.
That's where the real connection, that's where the real thing like you're talking about, that's where the magic's going to happen. Not through a book or info product.
You're totally right. And let's kind of let's drive that home a little bit. Human beings have been the same from the beginning of time. The one thing that is congruent across time and space is that human beings all over the world, all across time, have always gravitated towards each other, big or small. I mean, there's tribes of people in Africa that are very small, and there are tribes of people in New York City that are very big, but they're tribes. And it's because we have this innate desire to connect with each other. That's just how we are. That's why we live in communities, suburbs. A suburb in New Jersey is no different than a tribe in Africa. It's the same thing.
Yep.
It's a community. We thrive off of community, and technology has given us the illusion of community. We have Facebook, and now I've got 1 million friends. Well, great. That sounds on paper like it's a nice community, but it's lacking the substance.
Yep.
It's lacking the humanity. So the buyers are not only getting smarter, but they're coming full circle to the idea that, you know what, I need something that's real. And so this is, I don't like to pick on Burning Man, but it's kind of funny. It's like, this is why people are willing to be naked and run around in the middle of nowhere in the desert for a week, simply because they're starving for humanity. They're starving for connection. Yep. And if they have to travel across the globe and run around naked for a week in a desert, they'll do it. Because they need that. They're starving of that. So you bring them that and they'll love you for it.
Yeah, that's their fix. So I wanted to share the quick story that we had in San Diego, which is I met Shannon and I was like, this guy is a wealth of knowledge that can literally transform the world. And we were talking and you're like, I only want to work with the top minds. I only want to work with the 0.0001%. And I was like, why? How could you not share this gift with more people? And I've never heard your response before, and it just made so much sense. So do you remember this conversation?
I do.
Okay. You're going to say it way better than I can. So can you just explain to people what your logic is and kind of how we ended that conversation?
Sure. So from my standpoint, it's really... I think of it like a pyramid. And if you can influence the person at the top of the pyramid, then that influence disseminates down throughout the pyramid. It's challenging to disseminate up the pyramid. And an example of that would be, for example, you take like a corporate structure. You take a large corporation, huge corporation. You take the guy who's playing at the very, very top, and you change his perspective and you change the context in which he thinks and views what he's doing and what his legacy is. And he comes back to the table transformed, and he sits down with the board and he says, look, motherfuckers, we got some work to do. We got some change to make. And he shows up differently in his leadership and his communication and his power. That trickles down to the people that are below him. That trickles down to them. And it trickles down all the way to the janitor. And so I believe in influencing from the top down. Not that I don't believe that it can be done from the bottom up. I know that it certainly can, because there are demonstrations throughout history of that happening. So it's not one's better than the other. It's just the way that I work with people, Ilan, is that I like to play up here. And so when I'm encouraging people to dream bigger or see further or be bolder, sometimes it's a challenge for people at that ground level to do that. For them, they just need like that next step, and then the next step and the next step, and that's great. But the guy that's playing at the top is thinking big enough to be able to have someone come and grab him by the collar and go, boom, look, here's what we got to do next. And it can be big and it can be bold, and they are in an atmosphere that allows them to do that. So it's just my gift happens to be very adequate for them. And I personally like the idea that they can then disseminate that down the pyramid, if you will.
Yeah, it was interesting because I sat there and for a while I was like, why isn't he sharing this with more people? Why only these handful of people, etc.? And he shared that story with me. And then at the end, I remember we said, you go from the top, I'll go from the bottom. We're going to meet somewhere in the middle and we're going to make magic happen. It's interesting because I completely agree with you. And up until I heard you say it, I kind of understood it as a concept.
Uh-huh.
But for me, it was amazing to know that there are people out there doing what you do to actually focus on that. Because one of my mentors used to say, there's an amazing story. I was working with this girl, I was coaching her, and no matter what I did, she just, she like wouldn't turn the corner, wouldn't take the coaching. Hey guys, I just want to take a quick break here and let you know about our 10-day challenge. All you have to do is head over to SatoriPrime.com/10day, the number 10 day. And in it, we give you a 10-part video series that is absolutely changing lives, and it's completely free. It's a mindset shift in what is possible for you in your life right now. So I just want to read to you what someone has just written me. And they said, what did the 10-day challenge create for me? In summary, a plan of action. A man with a goal and a plan is unstoppable. Your 10-day challenge allowed me to take all that confusion and fear of my situation and see it was a period of transition. I have a plan. I've taken action and I'm implementing. Success is just over the horizon. And that could be the case for you. So head over to SatoriPrime.com/10day, the number 10 day, and grab your 10 free videos today and create a plan of success for you. Now back to the episode. And my mentor at the time said, let her go. And the part of me that just wants to fix the world and help everyone and all that stuff, I couldn't let her go. I said, one more week. I promised I could turn her around in one more week. She goes, let her go. I convinced my mentor to let me work with her one more week. She goes, you have one more week. If it's not turned around, out. She's out.
Right.
I was like, okay, I'll do that challenge. Sure enough, week goes by. No. Oh, and this was a stipulation. If you stay with her for another week, you're the one that has to kick her out.
Right.
Not like she wouldn't do it. I would have to do it.
That's right.
I was like, no problem. I'll do it. Week comes. Sure enough, now I have to go and be the guy to be like, go.
Yeah.
It was one of the most, as a coach, to be like, I can't impact you was really difficult to deal with, because then you're going into your head about, well, I'm not good enough and I can't make it, blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
I was like, you know what? It doesn't work. You're out, etc. I run into this girl like a year and a half later.
Right.
Jumps on me. Biggest smile, happy, whatever. And I'm shocked. How did this happen, right?
Yeah.
And she tells me this story that day was the pinnacle for her. because she's manipulated everyone in her life to do everything. And when someone just said, bitch, you're out.
Yeah.
It was a big wake up call for her.
Right.
And so I remember at that moment thinking, what a powerful lesson, in the letting go. And what I basically understood, and this is what I got from our conversation, is you have a certain amount of energy in a lifetime, every single day, whatever, that you can use that energy to transform, to make a profound difference. Yeah. Now, where do you want to focus that laser? I've never met anyone, Shannon, as laser focused as you are in your vision to impact like that.
Right.
Yeah. And drive all your energy to making that happen. And I think, after we spoke, I just went, fuck, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So kudos, my man.
Yeah. Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about, as to wrap this up.
Yeah.
You're working with these people, you're altering their vision. The hope is obviously that they then trickle that down.
Yeah.
I'm curious, where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? What's your vision? Where are you looking to take this and impact the world?
Sure. And let me say this as well before I answer that. I have kind of a secret agenda as well. I didn't throw up the little Illuminati sign for no reason. That's a joke. No, here's the truth is that I do want to be able to influence people that are at the bottom as well. But the way that I want to do it is by osmosis.
Yeah.
So here's what I mean by that. You'll have a trickle-down effect, and that's what I want. But what you'll have also is what I call the 4-minute mile effect. You're familiar with the 4-minute mile?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that fascinated me when I found out about that. And if it's one thing that I truly believe in, it is human potentiality.
Yeah.
It is that we have no clue what we're capable of as a species. Like, we have no clue. We're just starting to barely scratch the surface. And so if that's true, and it is true, then the very least that I can assume is that you are far more than whatever you think you are.
Yep.
And whatever vision you have, what you are capable of is far beyond whatever you think you can see. So that's kind of cool because I get to come to the table and just know that. And people inherently know that too. They might not know it at a cognitive level, but if you call them out to it, they're like, you're right.
Yeah.
So that's the game I get to play. But what happens as a result of that is, ideally, I want to create more 4-minute miles so that the rest of the world, people who are not even in this little organization or connected to me in any way, will encounter this 4-minute mile type person and go, whoa, I didn't even know that was possible.
Yep.
I want to do that. Because remember, what happened the same year that the 4-minute mile was broke? Like 6 other people did it.
Yeah.
Right? No one had ever done it after that. And then that year, 6 other people did it.
Yep.
So my secret agenda is I want to create just a slew of 4-minute miles throughout the world so that at any given time, you could be at a party, you could be at a networking event, you could be at a charity, you could be at the grocery store, and boom, someone encounters this 4-minute mile type person and they're like, whoa, I didn't even know that was possible. And their mind just goes,
yep.
And they're like, I'm going to do the 4-minute mile. And then boom, they go do it. And then they become a 4-minute mile. And then boom, 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 boom. It just starts popping. Just like
I love that.
Yeah.
Our vision, by the way, SatoriPrime got created with the vision of our mission statement is break down the walls to what people believe is possible.
Yeah, totally. So, like my grandest vision is like, what if we just had a world of like all varying levels of 4-minute miles just running around,
In all aspects of life.
In all aspects, not just business. Business is like just symbolic, just everything. And then eventually it would come back around to one of the original people, but they would see someone else in a different context, like maybe family or maybe, health, and be like, I didn't know that was possible. Then they level up in that, and then it's just like, so it's just, yeah.
I love that. I think also surrounding yourself in a certain network allows for that to happen.
Oh yeah.
I know I've been around certain people. Like this guy, Luke, just comes to mind. He posted a picture the other day. He turned 45 years old. He took a picture and he's just ripped, just absolutely ripped. And he posts 45 years old, in better shape than I've ever been, healthier than I've ever been, etc. And I remember I was 30 or 31 at the time, and I messaged him. He was a friend of mine, and I messaged him. I just said thank you, because in my world, I wasn't accustomed to seeing 45-year-old men that were in better shape than when they were in their 30s.
Yeah.
And he just made that possible for me. So as before, I knew I was working towards something, but in the back of my brain, I was like, well, you get older, this and that. It was just that one instant. And I just went, well, fuck yeah. Like that's
the thing.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right now I just saw this bodybuilder at 70 and I'm going, well, okay. I guess it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
So
all it takes, that's what people don't get. That's all it takes. All it takes is for you to get exposed to one thing that is absolutely beyond what you can understand, and it'll change your life.
Yeah.
And at very least, it'll change what you believe is possible for yourself. And that's the beginning of it. That's the seed that allows for whatever else to transpire from there.
So I have a personal question for you around that.
Yeah.
Where do you look to get inspired to find those kind of next levels for yourself?
Sure. Two places. I look to some of the entrepreneurs and just people in the world that are really playing at a high level that I can get inspired by. But I also have this little game that I play with myself. Not like that. I have what I call a conversation with my ultimate self. And this is a strategy that I created probably when I was like mid-20s. And essentially what it is that I get into kind of this meditative state, and I envision myself sitting across from myself. And that version of myself is X amount of years down the road, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. Sometimes there's not even a number on it. It's just like the more ultimate version of me. And I say, Shannon, what kind of stuff are you thinking about these days? Like, what's your vision right now? What are you doing to expand yourself? How are you showing up in the world, and who do you have to be in order to command that level of leadership, and some of those questions? And the cool thing is that you always get these outstanding answers, because I believe that the most ultimate version of yourself already exists somewhere down the timeline. You just have to live up to it. You just have to get there.
Yep.
And so it's like, I believe you have access to that. And so I just have these conversations with myself. And then usually I'll also see someone like Richard Branson or Elon Musk or something like that that's really doing something outstanding. And so the combination of those two things really help me maintain perspective.
Brilliant. Just out of curiosity, are you meditating on a daily basis?
Yes.
Multiple times a day or just once?
Not multiple, typically just once.
Interesting. Very cool. All right, bud. So final question. I asked this of all the guests, and that is that cliche of, I wish I knew then what I know now. So obviously you had a crazy young childhood and experience, but what's something that you wish you would have known when you were younger that would have made a profound difference in your life?
Yeah. The one thing that I felt like I knew when I was young, but then I let go of, was simplicity. To keep things simple. I think by human nature, especially in this culture, but in this day and age, we tend to overcomplicate things. And that gets in the way of our effectiveness, that gets in the way of us being able to give our gift, just gets in the way. And so if I could say one thing, it would be simplicity.
Yeah, really well said. I actually just read a story about true masters are someone that can take a very complicated process or thought and give it to you in one sentence.
Right. Totally.
Beautiful. Shannon, so here's my hope for you, that your vision keeps changing lives. And I really, truly believe that we will meet in the middle and create, in your words, a whole bunch of 4-minute miles. I just hope we live to see that day when we're just running around and going, wow, look at what we were able to do.
Yeah,
It'd be amazing.
I look forward to it.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for being on. Is there any way that people can connect with you? I know you have a book. Is there any way that people can grab that?
Really, either just find me on Facebook or just go to my website, shannongraham.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Everyone, thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next Performance Enhancing Podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Performance Enhancing Podcast. We've taken this pep talk and created a custom action guide so you know exactly what action steps to take now to grow your business. Just head over to SatoriPrime.com/podcast and download it for free. Also, please leave a comment and rate this podcast on iTunes. It'll help us get the word out. Thanks for listening. Now, go and implement. We'll see you next time.
Did you run through doors till you hit the floor?